The goals of the health impact assessment were to make sure that low-income communities of color and the public health outcomes in those communities were taken into consideration as the decision makers looked at this issue and developed a plan. The communities that we looked at in the study were also identified because of the support from the Health Impact Project and support from the California Endowment in partnership with the Building Healthy Communities initiative that is taking place here. And we prioritized health in that because we see poor health outcomes in the communities we looked at. We see high asthma rates, high obesity rates, cardiovascular disease, high rates of cancer. We wanted to make sure that that was incorporated. It was really important to us that the health impact assessment was driven by community priorities. Community residents throughout the process said, we can't really change the way we travel because it's really difficult to walk by foot or even use a bike.
The participation of the community, they were like hungry of someone or something to come and help them because they are an incorporated community. They don't have local government and they depend on the county.
After adoption of the Regional Transportation Plan, they worked with Kern County to apply for funding that would bring nearly $2 million to their community for pedestrian safety improvements. And it was a huge win for the community.
This is one of the corners that is going to benefit from the sidewalks. It starts from here about 4 or 5 blocks down. That's where all the sidewalks are going to be at. When the project is going to be finished, we're going to have like 8 miles of sidewalk. So I think it'll be great having sidewalks so the kids can walk safer.
I think the influence of this assessment is beyond just collecting data. When we are advocating and making changes in the community and getting the ears of the decision makers, we need to include the community, we need to empower the community. Otherwise, they will only pay attention to people with money, those that have the power to influence the decision makers.
I think the most important part of the HIA for the work that we did was the process. It brought different stakeholders to the table. There's real community engagement. And while this project brought in nearly $2 million for sidewalks, it also brought in a sense of pride. It rallied community to come together even more and is now driving in another neighborhood, Greenfield Rexland Acres area, to submit an $8 million application for pedestrian safety improvement.
There's a school where I live, and all the little kids, they walk in the streets. They risk their lives because they don't have sidewalks. I work in the newspaper in South Kern Soul. I wrote an article about this, and people got inspired, and they came up to me and they told me, you should be the leader. What I did was get petitions and go around my neighborhood and talk to residents about the whole project idea, and I got a lot of support.
El impacto que va a tener este proyecto de banquetas en la comunidad va a ser tremendo porque va a traer obviamente más salud, la gente va a caminar más, van a ir al parque caminando, van a estar en bicicletas, los niños van a ir a la escuela más seguros, la salud va a mejorar, pero también va a reducir el uso de carros, o sea que también va a ayudar en el medio ambiente. Entonces esto va a ser algo que va a traer muchas cosas buenas a la comunidad.
Sometimes I'm doing door knocking to make people, you have the voice. You can vote for me because I cannot do it.
I think it's important that everybody's voice gets heard because, there's also the language barriers and the lack of information being spread out.
A lot of us, don't work at city council or work for the city, and, by voting, it's our duty to voice out for the issues that you and I are going through.
One person in the city council isn't just going to make the change. We're all holding that person accountable by mobilizing ourselves around the issues that affect us.
Me gustaría que los representantes políticos de la ciudad de Long Beach trabajaran con la comunidad y para la comunidad.
I used to never thought that people actually cared about the youth and all the stuff in schools until I actually got involved with it. And I'm going to more of these meetings and everything. It's seeing oh, how far we're really getting there. I can start off the change with everybody else, and then we can make it expand.
I'm really tired to see people that they afraid. Se encierran decimos en un cascarón porque les da miedo lo que está alrededor. Y pienso que es importante y que la gente esté informada de qué es lo que está pasando. Cuando la gente empieza a saber, la gente se empieza a unir. Y eso es lo más importante, que la gente se una para que haga un cambio.
Nos estamos organizando por Long Beach.
I organize for Long Beach.
I organize for Long Beach.
Now we organize for Long Beach.
Y yo soy una organizadora comunitaria para un Long Beach mejor.
Traditionally, managing our land meant burning the land, and burning the land in a way that allowed for animals to live and thrive, and also for our plants to grow and flourish.
Everything out here has a spirit. Everything in here is connected in our circle of life, and fire is a main ingredient of keeping that in balance. It's been out of balance for so long that it's really reflecting on our people now.
Everything's just getting choked off, and our wildlife ain't got nowhere to go.
It's resulted in just massive brush, thick, impenetrable brush.
It's time for us to make a change, create that connection, the bond with the land. And in the 100 years of fire suppression, we've got so out of balance that it's just a tinderbox waiting for a firestorm to come through here.
In 2010, the Klamath Local Organizing Committee started their research process, and that really took quite a while because this is a very complicated issue.
So a project of this magnitude requires the coordination of a lot of federal and state agencies, the Air Quality Resources Control Board, permits, working with private landowners and other Indian people and the Yurok tribal government and the different agencies that are all part of managing the land and the landscape here.
Educating the community is really important because fear of fire has been ingrained in us for 100 years. And so people need to understand that it can be done in a controlled, safe manner.
I told my mom what we were doing in this project, and she said, "Son, I think this is the hardest thing you've ever tried to do." She said, "We as Indian people, we don't even like to talk to each other, and now you want us to talk to other people." So I said, "Yes, Mom, I do want us to talk to other people, because I think that's how we get stronger."
We had no clue how critically important the matter of land and landscape management was to their health and to their well-being. How they're able to manage the land in a way that provides sustainable food, a sustainable place for them to invoke their spiritual beliefs.
So when a wide range of community members were able to unite on a single issue, when they were able to go and do really thoughtful and intentional research with a whole host of decision makers, both internally to the tribal government to external partners as well, people who actually had the power to make the cultural burns happen, and then come to the tribal council and say, here's the plan, we've got all of these agencies lined up, here's the research that we've done, this is possible this year.
Does the Yurok tribe support the work of, and will they partner with, the Klamath River Local Organizing Committee on building a comprehensive community burn plan?
Yes, so says the council.
Yo no sé qué es lo que tengo, si tengo la alta presión, colesterol o qué es lo que tengo, no sé. Pues la ignoro hasta ahorita porque no tengo cobertura médica. Y pues tú sabes que todo eso aquí es caro. ¿Qué hago? ¿Voy y me chequeo mi salud o le ayudo a mi hijo con su escuela o dejo que pierda su semestre de estudio?
We've never gone to the doctor. We've never gone. It's only like an emergency. Like, you know, somebody's like on the ground or something, but it's normal not to go to the doctor for me because we've never had health care.
Yo siempre he querido trabajar como a bien de la comunidad, que no haya esas tremendas injusticias contra los más frágiles, contra los más indefensos, como en este país venimos siendo los indocumentados. Empecé a involucrarme en el grupo de Merced organizando proyectos. Ahí fue donde me hicieron comprender que no era ninguna vergüenza, que no era malo, que soy una persona digna, que no por ser indocumentada valgo menos que los demás. Es un coraje, pero un coraje bueno, positivo, que te ayude a hacer cosas buenas. Yo por eso vi la importancia de involucrarme para hacer cambios que nos beneficien a todos los indocumentados.
Building Healthy Communities is a 10-year initiative funded by the California Endowment. There are 3 main pillars to the work of building healthy communities in Boyle Heights. Health happens in schools, health happens in neighborhoods, and health happens with prevention. Health Happens in Neighborhoods is working on a community campaign to promote the idea that youth are the city's best asset. Today we're here at Mendez Learning Center. We're with a group of youth who are interested in becoming leaders in the community of Boyle Heights. They're advocating for additional resources and more funding to support the youth development programs that currently exist, and also to bring about more opportunities for them and their peers in regards to youth development services.
Today we're having a whole bunch of youth from all over Boyle Heights get together and network with each other and join workshops with each other, and also empower them on and basically making them aware of the campaign that we're trying to pass.
The youth are voting. You know, there's different programs that through a survey we were able to find that are available or important to residents in Boyle Heights, and today the youth got to vote and prioritize basically what resources they feel are the most important. So we're going to use that information to advocate for dollars, tax dollars, city dollars to be invested in this community. And our long-term goal is to have the city prioritize positive youth development versus incarceration or criminalization of youth, but it has to be youth that are changing their own community and asking for what they want.
Okay, hi, my name is Robert Cristo. I'm from the Youth Justice Coalition. And in the group we sat down and we really talked about, well, first we had to write it. We had to talk about how we are seen, how the youth of Boyle Heights are seen by people from outside our community. And in this dialogue, we saw that there's a lot of negative stereotypes about us. People see us as criminals, gang members, uneducated, dropouts. And then we flipped it. And then we said, how would we like to see ourselves? How do we feel we should be portrayed? And we started getting titles and names like educated, up and coming. We start feeling emotions like inspired. We start feeling anxious to get moving and anxious to start working on ourselves. And that really translated into the art that we did.
So today is a first step towards building the leadership skills of our youth living in Boyle Heights so that they can advocate, that they can ask City Hall for more resources for the types of programs that they feel will make a difference in their lives and make Boyle Heights a safer place for them to live, and they have opportunities to reach their full potential.
This event is to really have a conversation with the community to talk about school climate issues. What does that mean to people?
We have been invited by the organization Building Healthy Communities to help create a celebration event. A cast of community members, about 13 people, are going to be joining us on stage and sharing these stories, reading these scripts aloud, hopefully for a wonderful audience tomorrow night. Myself and another playwright colleague, Jeanette Godoy, have spent the past few months talking to people with a special focus on education, asking them what should people outside of the Eastern Valley know about what it means to live here, to raise a family here, to go to school here.
A lot of kids, they don't really speak up, so the counselors and teachers, I don't know, they take advantage of that.
Theater and art has always played an interesting role in ways that it can bring
those uncomfortable conversations come to life where we're giving voices to people who we are often not hearing about.
We just wanted to finally break loose and say, hey, we have a voice.
Sunset shadows.
Cañones pintados. Scream it out.
There's two plays. There's Look Forward, and that one's more about empowerment. That one's talking more about a kid's perspective. It's acknowledging the problems of the students. And then it brings up the community as well. And I think that's going to change the audience into thinking that, hey, we got to really think this through.
Great. Beautiful.
Yeah, well, a lot of things have changed.
It's basically my life. Like, I didn't do good in school. I had Fs until recently.
The audience is our community. It's the parents.
They matter. Like, they're important in this community. Like, they can change something. They just have to try.
I'd like to welcome the actors to the stage. Actors, join us on stage. It's now our pleasure to present the first play of our evening, Look Forward. Here we go.
Es como revivirlo, ¿no? Revivir tu historia en la historia de otra persona.
Sí, tenemos que hacer algo las familias para que podamos cambiar la mentalidad de las personas, que juntas podemos hacer un poder muy grande y un cambio.
It's going to be a better place for students to express themselves.
We're seeing people power in action.
We could be struck down like a lightning bolt, and people try justifying their ignorance using Bible quotes. I've seen all type of folks fall victim to a system that picks them, plucks them before they ripen, and sticks them right in the oven. The future burns in the furnace. The flames are fanned by the famous, who are controlled by those who promote the ignoramuses to fade our greatness. They, Andy and Amos us. They put up a fake face to replace anyone that tries to wake us from this long slumber some of us been under. Been praying hard, but I swear to God, we must have the wrong number. I don't hear no thunder, I wonder why. I see no sign of demise, of how many people suffer just from hunger, how many of them die. And it's so very unnecessary, it's scary. This is where we see strangers as adversaries, but it's contrary. We share the planet, damn, it's the burden we carry. That some poison earth like coal mines, and don't mind the dead canary. We undercut education and overfund military. Then they run around the whole planet just bugging like Mary. Unmanned drones turning homes to cemeteries. And the media clones either condone or make no commentary. And half the country believe these Toms and Jerrys. But that's a sign of the times we living in, where thinking is revolutionary. But every day the sun rises, and it's always darkest in the moments before it becomes the brightest. The wind before the storm before the calm. Long as you have breath, left, right, carry on, move forward, because you might be the final straw. The hidden ace in the deck that changes the luck of the draw. The final pebble in the pond that helps form a tidal wave. Or the spark of a flame that molds metals into mighty blades. The final push through the barricade, inspiring those too afraid. Because when tyrants reign, then the righteous become renegades. For simply going against the grain of status quo, if status quo is going against us all and the future's looking so-so. Being black is such a no-no. My people strap on a GoPro for protection against the po-po. My native folks still being mowed down on a low-low. Refugees and immigrants being bounced like some pogos. Just shipped away like cargo, some reduced to photos. Shunned like a hunchback, brown and black Quasimodos. In this land where the dough flows, we rather
My dreams for my children is to have access to a quality education.
Be independent.
El sueño que yo tengo para mi hija es que ella se desarrolle en un ambiente escolar saludable, donde tenga todos los recursos para poder lograr el éxito escolar.
I would love for my children, my twins, to be able to be longshoremen.
I would like my children to be aware of their full potential and to be able to live up to that full potential.
To be able to follow through to go to college.
My dream for her is to definitely be able to have a quality education where she can pursue her dreams.
I want our kids to be great adults.
And also at the same time contributing to the society in which they live.
El primer hogar de nosotros es la casa, la familia, los valores. Y el segundo hogar son las escuelas.
My concern is
the access to quality and equitable resources.
To be successful and get the education I expect for them.
That she needs and deserves and is required.
My concern always has been what's that we don't know about the future. We don't know what jobs might exist, what new careers will be there, and are we preparing our children for those careers?
The LCAP is the Local Control
Accountability Plan.
El CAP es el nuevo control de financiamiento que tienen las escuelas de California para obtener fondos del Estado.
It is how some of the funds are spent locally in our school districts.
In other words, it will be a tool to bring equity.
Making sure that the money that the district is receiving is well spent.
Parents, teachers, community organizations, as well as district staff have an opportunity to create plans, implement strategies and services, and evaluate them.
We've been left out of the process in itself, so it gives us one voice in being able to participate at full speed.
You as a parent have a voice in this LCAP process.
It's really important for you to be an advocate for your children, and this is the way to do it.
If you want to see something change, go fix it.
And now it's time for us to step up and do what we got to do and look out for the overall best interests of our community. Our children is number one.
Este es el momento para que trabajemos juntos, padres, maestros y estudiantes, para un mejor futuro para nuestros hijos.
It's a community effort. It's a village that raises the children.
Speak to your principals, speak to your teachers, and attend the next board meeting. I look forward to seeing you there.
With Trump, you really have to, there's no middle ground here. You can't just say, we kind of support it, but not really. If it's been done by Trump, we have to be bolder. Here in our local communities, we have to be bolder than Trump.
We've always been a place that has welcomed people. It's been a port of entry for people from all over the world. But the fear today is real. The fear in our young people and the families of being ripped apart are definitely real. And frankly, it is a risk. It is a risk that potentially, there's this threat of taking funds that are supposed to be designated to our city, to our community. But at the end of the day, I think the greater risk is to stay silent. The greater risk is to allow our community to remain vulnerable. The greater risk is to have people feel that they don't have a voice, they don't have somebody standing up for them. So tonight we have the opportunity to be leaders, to stand up for what is right, to stand up for people who need somebody to stand up and advocate for them.
We need a timeline, and this is just a symbolic gesture. We need to move forward with the ordinance as well.
This council's going to change in the next meeting. So in order, in the spirit of good faith, we said, well then let's make it a resolution today, but I'm here in a public setting, saying let's make it an ordinance, and let's put it up for an ordinance at the next meeting, and let's start that process. And I hope that you hold those other council members that are going to come here, you hold their feet to the fire, because they're Latino too.
Councilmember Mezcla?
Yes.
Councilmember Reyno?
Yes.
Councilmember Benavides?
Yes.
Councilmember Tinajero?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento?
Yes. Unanimous vote. Thank you very much.
Look, if you had...
I've been involved with this since the very beginning. The whole idea of putting it together and getting youth to take the lead in organizing the different tracks, the workshops that we put on, the keynote speaker, where they want it to take place, put it on anybody else. You gotta be the change. You've gotta be the first one to break that cycle in your family of not going to college or not being effective parent in your family or not getting involved in community service. You've got to be the one that breaks that paradigm and makes the changes that changes our world, changes our city, changes our region. You've got to be that change.
I heard, son, sit down, get your own education. Maybe one day you can go and lead the nation.
Straighten up. You must got me fucked up. You must think I be stuck and be obtaining cuffs. I refrain from them, but a gang of us can't tank for us. Little homies riding around with that banger.
I'm here to see it at the sunset and another day. The firstborn is gone, the secondborn is next. Drugs, money, and sex is a life.
Why this is important today is because you're the ones that are going to change it. You are the ones that are going to make a difference. It isn't going to be old, bald, white guys like me. It's really going to have to come from you. And it's going to have to come from your hearts. And it's going to have to come from your leadership.
Vota.
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 Get loud! I'm voting because my future is important.
I'm voting for the first time because I care about my community.
It's important to vote because we deserve a safer and better community. I'm voting for the first time because every vote matters. Vota.
Vota. Vota.
Get loud! I'm voting because my family and my community are important to me and I want them to be safe and clean as well.
I'm voting because I want one healthy Fresno.
I'm voting for the first time because I want a better future for my son.
Vote because your vote represents your community.
Vota.
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 Get loud!
Watch us. One day like today, they'll realize there's no future without us. Or this place we call home. Licorice sticks staining our saliva, taco truck, church revivals, Bunchy Carter clinics, liberated zone in the making, littered with the whispers of our sisters who taught us that our mission is home. Latasha Harlan taught us that we are more than the paper that they would have us cling to. Sisters who taught us our mission is home. Riddell Jones, we chant your name until we won this. Riddell Jones, we chant your name until we won this. Riddell Jones, we chant your name because you taught us we need to run this place we call home. Thank you.
Estamos en apoyo a la comunidad para que nos puedan otorgar salud, cobertura médica a todos los indocumentados. No tengamos el temor ni el miedo de poder ir al doctor, porque siempre estamos pensando en que nos van a llegar los biles muy caros y lo que queremos es de alguna manera, así como nosotros pagamos nuestros taxis, queremos tener también el beneficio de tener cobertura médica completa.
City Heights is a very underserved community. There isn't that much park space for the current population here. There usually isn't a safe place for young people to go.
Ever since I was 13, I skated. We're profiled as bad people. We're profiled as those that don't really know what's happening in our communities, and we cause harm to our community. We were harassed by police officers. We get ticket for skating on curbs, but in reality, we just have nowhere else to go. It's because we don't have a skate park that's accessible here in our community.
One of our youth council members got hit by a car while skateboarding, and that really showcased how unsafe our community was, especially for the skateboarding community. And so we decided to start a campaign on bringing a skate park here to City Heights.
They began talking to politicians, decision makers, and very few people took them seriously. Their youthfulness was being used as an excuse to not listen.
They kind of dismissed us, saying, yes, you guys want a park, but we have other things that are more important than just a skate park. So we went back to the community, we petitioned, we built a small army.
We began by being a small group of kids rallying around their friend to hundreds of community members.
There was a lot of resistance from the community. They really didn't want a skate park here in City Heights. And I believe it was because there was a lot of misconceptions around skaters and the whole skating community. We found ourselves that we didn't have any hard data to back our stories up.
A ways into the campaign, the California Endowment, who's one of our largest donors, connected us to Human Impact Partners. And they came to us and said, hey, we have this thing called a health impact assessment, and we really think it can help your campaign.
A health impact assessment brings data to decision-making processes and informs decision makers and other stakeholders about how a proposed policy will impact health and equity.
So they came to us and they told us what this research was going to do and how it was going to help us. So we decided to partner with them.
The canvassing, going out, door knocking, finding out the precincts and talking to the people, these were all youth-led.
What the HIA really did was help us have a focus and a means for communicating our values around equity to decision makers. It was also instrumental in dispelling a lot of myths. The HIA said that people who skate are healthier, they're less obese. This is really good for the community. This is really important. The naysayers don't really understand what skating is and how good it is for the community.
We found having a skate park actually reduces injuries from skateboarding because it means that kids aren't skateboarding on the streets and having to deal with cars and other vehicles or pedestrians.
And I do remember one night in particular, a meeting that was attended by a lot of adults, a lot of neighbors, and they became very difficult. And it was one of the young people from the Mid-City Can Youth Council who quietly raised her hand, got up in the back of the room and said, I think a lot of you don't understand what this is. We've done the research, we have the data, and pointed them to the HIA, and it was really a great moment.
A piece of advice that I would give a young person trying to make a change or a difference is to focus on something that they're passionate about and to just stay committed and continue working for it, because there is going to be a lot of no's. There is going to be a lot of people who say you can't do that and that you don't have a voice, but you do. They're wrong.